In this video, I want to look at the sound panel on the edit page. Now I'm going to drag in a raw synth sample into the empty rack, and it's going to create a new Leap instrument, and I'm going to set it to start with the single mode, and let's see what it sounds like. Now I've got these sustained chords programmed up. And I want to start by just setting some loop points before we jump into the sound parameters here. So I'm in melody mode, which is fine. It's great for time stretching. And now let's just set this. I'm going to set this to 0 crossing so we don't get any clicks. And let's get a loop point. There we go. That's pretty good. So let's look at the sound panel where we can affect the timbre and tonality of the sound. We have neutral, filters, juicy, mild, and aggressive. They all have slightly different characteristics, and we can toggle between low pass, high pass, and band pass on most of the models. And we have typical cutoff controls, so we can filter below or above or around the cutoff value we set. We have resonance control to boost right at the cutoff value, key tracking for how much the cutoff follows the range in the keyboard, and some of the models have a makeup gain. So rather than go through them all clinically, I'll just give you a quick kind of flyover to get you a sense of the different flavors that they offer. With the same settings. And then we have high pass. So like their names suggest, so for something like this, I might go with a low pass filter. And you can always toggle the filter on and off with that. Now we have a very simple amp envelope section that can also be turned on and off. We have simple attack and release, so we can delay the amount of time it takes until the amplitude reaches full volume to get a gradual fade in of the sound. So it's fading in rather than attacking right away. And then we have release, so that once the note is no longer held, it'll take a subtle amount of time based on the amount of milliseconds we have here until it dies down to complete note off. So with this off, we're going to get a very percussive sound. And with it on, we get a bit more of a trailing fade on each note. So for long pads like this, you might want a longer release. So they slightly overlap. That's a bit too long. Still a bit too long. But something like that to get a nice, smooth legato sound. And then we have simple output controls for volume, pan, and then this sends to the delay and reverb that we get to on the send effects page, and they're both off right now, but I can dial up a bit again. We'll look at this more in the next video, and we'll get a bit of reverb on it. So when I hit stop, you hear it. And same thing with the delay. And we can also enable or disable the sound from being controlled by the performance effects and or the macro effects. So the performance effects we get to here, and they're off because we're in single mode, but when we're in group mode, they're on, and that corresponds to the black notes. And we'll look at this in a separate video. But we can, let's go back to single mode for a moment. We can either have this affected by performance effects when it's in group mode or not. And then macro effects, we can have it enabled or disabled so that when we're on the play page, it'll be affected by the macro effects that we have set based on this preset that we have called up.
In my mind, wherever I go with my dreams, when I lay in my bed, we can get you out.
So there we've got a nice quick little pad sound, and it's named new by default, but I'm going to right click and I'll save this and I'm going to name it. And now if we look in the library browser under Leap and I filter by user presets, it'll be under custom kit. And there it is, Eli's pad. And it's showing custom kit because it's a third-party sample that I dragged in. We'll continue with more in the next video.